And here we go with what will undoubtedly be a thrilling steel cage match.
Oh, nasty flipping senton.
Headbutt.
Nothing fancy there.
From the hallowed ground of the Heart Dungeon in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, Natalya debuted in WWE at odds with the Bella Twins and managed the Hart Dynasty to the WWE Tag Team Championship.
Natalya began competing in singles action and formed a dominating alliance with Beth Phoenix soon after the Queen of Hearts was part of the debut season of E's Total Divas reality show and added a red carpet correspondent to her resume.
Natalya returned to manage.
Here we go, steel cage action kicking off here.
The unpredictability of a triple threat match makes this almost impossible to predict. Any one of these three could walk out of here the winner.
You know, I've known Bayley for a long time, and it pains me to say
the contest will be fought under traditional WWE triple threat rules. Well, that was an oxymoron. There's nothing traditional about a triple threat match.
A lot of times, the smart move in a match like this is to sit back in the weeds. Let the other two superstars tear each other apart. Let's see if we get any of that here tonight.
What a strike. Right on the mark.
There's a certain feeling that comes over the combatants in a steel cage match once they hear the door close and see the official lock it. A superstar must know that their body is going to be thrown against the steel, that their face will most likely be raked across the cage, and that anything is legal in this environment.
Oh, nasty impact.
The no disqualification stipulation in a triple threat match can take the battle in many directions, and each one is more unexpected than the next. A superstar can be attacked with a weapon and can be assaulted by an individual who's not even signed to compete in the match, and the contest will continue because everything's legal.
to know that someone could bludgeon you with a sledgehammer, lay you out with a chair, or beat you with a kendo stick, or you can be attacked by someone who's not in the match and the referee can't do anything about it. It makes things very difficult if you're on the receiving end of assaults like that.
Boom, what impact!
It's always important to get off to a strong start in a match. It's even more important to do that in a triple threat match, given that you're going up against two opponents at the same time. Add to that the no disqualification stipulation, and there's little to no room for error. One mistake, and it can cost you a lot more than winning the match.
This might be it!
Oh, my.
Boom, right in the button. Byron, you touched on this earlier, but it's so important for a superstar to accept that there's nowhere to run and nowhere to hide in a steel cage match. That the conflict will be resolved within the 15-foot high steel walls that surround the ring, and that losing a cage match can mean much more than a mark in the loss column. For some, it has meant the end of their career.
It's difficult to describe the damage that can be done to a superstar who competes in a steel cage match. We see the physical harm, but we don't see the psychological effects from being inside the cage. Make no mistake about it, Michael, the steel cage truly represents survival of the fittest.
The first ever Women's Royal Rumble match was full of amazing moments, but Nia Jax may have had the best performance of the 29 women who didn't win that match.
I agree, Michael. While Asuka was obviously the true winner of the match, Nia Jax had plenty to be proud of, lasting 18 minutes and single-handedly eliminating 4 competitors.
Fellas, let's go back to Nia Jax's Royal Rumble performance. When it comes to unassisted eliminations, she had the most in the Royal Rumble, tied with Michelle McCool. But here's the thing. McCool was a surprise entrant. 4 women knew to prepare for Nia and still fell to the irresistible force.
Nia Jax set another record that night as 6 women needed to team together to eliminate the irresistible force. And it was 6 of the all-time greats: Asuka, Bayley, Natalya, Trish Stratus, and the Bella Twins.
Bayley has spent her whole career with many of her peers doubting her abilities. The competition tends to overlook Bayley and disregard her accomplishments. I'm always perplexed as to why Bayley doesn't receive more respect.
Incoming.
Onto the back of the neck.
The champ on the defensive now. I can tell you that this is not how she envisioned this triple threat match going.
Michael, to pick up on what you said about Bayley not getting respect, it dates all the way back to her time at NXT. You would think after her success there, no one would really underestimate her again.
I'll sum up the answer. Bayley came over to larger waters up against bigger fish, and now she's just happy with her spot at the kiddie table while the adults run the women's division.
I knew it was only a matter of time.
They call Nia Jax the irresistible force, and she's proven that moniker true as she's overpowered the competition in NXT and WWE.
You ain't kidding, Cole. In both NXT and WWE, she'd tear through up-and-coming competitors in just a minute or two. She also turned in some dominating performances against the likes of Bayley, Sasha Banks, Alicia Fox, and Mickie James.
The two of you were discussing Nia Jax being irresistible, and I have to agree. You know, I recently invited Nia to my mother's house and offered to make her some apple pie. And technically, she didn't say no.
That's not what they mean by irresistible, Saxton. As the irresistible force of WWE, that means she plows through competition.
What a win. Talk about seizing opportunity.
These women put on quite a show. Here's another look.
And here's how she finished this thing.
Ladies and gentlemen, here is your SmackDown Women's and Raw Women's Champions.
Steel cage action kicking off here, guys.
Look at them, locked inside that cage like a couple of rabid animals.
Lariat!
Elbow drop.
Right to the heart.
Nia Jax, the irresistible force, is in action here. As her name implies, she's a tough competitor to overcome. Any ideas of how an opponent can prepare for Nia?
I'd say it's nearly impossible to take down Nia, but the few times Jax has lost has been due to competition with serious submission skills. We've seen arm bars and sleeper holds make the few dents in Nia's otherwise impressive records.
Going back to the discussion of submission holds succeeding against Nia Jax, Bayley used a sleeper hold to retain. The NXT Women's Championship, and Asuka locked in an armbar for 2 whole minutes to beat Nia on Raw. And then there's Ronda Rousey, who skillfully used her variety of submissions against the irresistible Force.
Yeah, but we're talking about Ronda Rousey, Bayley, and Asuka here. 3 of the most skilled competitors in WWE history. Getting close enough to Nia to even clinch in a submission is a tall feat, since Jax will likely destroy you the moment you're within arm's reach.
We talk about how important stipulations are in a steel cage match. If superstars sign a contract where the only way to win is escape the cage and have both... If your feet touch the floor, the competitors must have a plan. Especially since you have to be comfortable trying to escape through the cage door as you do climbing over the top of the cage and vice versa.
Harsh impact.
We've seen it on so many occasions, Corey. A superstar has the match won and all they have to do is pin their opponent. Or a submission is locked in and the person is fractions of a second away from tapping out, and that's when it hits. The third participant in the match comes in to break things up and launch an attack on their own.
There is no time to spare in a triple threat match. Just when a superstar thinks the match is theirs for the taking and they're moments away from victory, the rug is yanked out from under them with no warning. That's why in a triple threat, a competitor must move carefully and swiftly, or it could cost them the match. Natalya is sports entertainment royalty. And this is the first third-generation female competitor in WWE history. The Queen of Hearts is also the only female to survive training in the Heart Dungeon.
Nailed it.
Over Natalya's impressive career, we've seen her be the affable, gracious and fun-loving Queen of Hearts. And we've seen her to be the merciless Queen of...
Look out. Here we go with this steel cage match.
If you ask me, this one has what it takes to be right up there with some of the great triple threat matches of the past, including the classic we saw at WrestleMania 30.
You gotta believe this one's over. Right to the back of the neck. Oh my God, a clothesline. Drop kick from behind. Ouch. Ooh. Clothesline.
Oh, nasty impact.
What a strike. Boom, what impact. You gotta believe this one's over. Oh, clothesline.
The champ's starting to sweat. We've certainly seen her withstand worse in the past, though.
When Bayley finally made it to her first WrestleMania in Orlando, her reality outdid her dreams. Walking in as the Raw Women's Champion, the huggable one had a boss, a queen, and an irresistible force to overcome.
Nailed it.
Oh, what a clothesline.
Forcefully delivered.
What a stomp.
Good grief. Rewinding back to Bayley's WrestleMania debut, you can't underscore what winning that match against Sasha Banks, Charlotte, and Nia Jax meant to Bayley's confidence. She showed everyone she was worthy of being a champion.
It pains me to admit it, but I will admit, you're right, Byron. Bayley had many doubters, myself included, but she showed up on the grandest stage and deserved to retain her title that night.
Clothesline! Boom!
This might be it!
Oh, my.
Byron, it's moments like Bayley winning her first WWE Women's Championship that put our jobs in perspective. To see dreams come true right in front of us gives me goosebumps.
Yeah, watching Bayley, the little girl who dragged her father to every live event and made him wait after the show so she could get autographs from every superstar, now become champion, it was an incredible culmination. Look at her go.
Ooh, what impact.
Saxton gushed over Bayley's first WWE Women's Championship win like he stole Bayley's diary or something. If that just wasn't the cutest, most heartwarming story you ever told, Sax.
Bayley told her dad she was going to stand in the ring as a champion one day, and she did just that.
Nia Jax is the most powerful woman in WWE, and we've seen her dominate opponents without breaking a sweat. Guys, how do you prepare for the irresistible force?
Nia Jax is one of the most dominant competitors from a physical perspective. When she has the right mindset, nobody can compete with the irresistible force. Your best bet is to play the mental game with Nia.
Talking some more about strategy against Nia Jax. Corey brought up that an opponent might have an advantage if they can get inside the head of the irresistible force. Do you agree, Byron?
Well, I'm not a fan of trash talking, but Nia has proven to be thin-skinned against the likes of Alexa Bliss and Mickie James.